some of the technologies and companies we do invest in today need 5, 10, 15 years to scale up. But still, we do invest into them today. Those are the companies that actually shape the future of our economy and our planet. So we better take the right decisions. Right means to me, are we taking decisions that lead to an economy our planet can sustain, which operates in the limits? So how do we find out if that technology or company is actually part of the solution or part of the problem? I am convinced that we have all the tools and methods at hand. It's just a matter of implementing those in the decision-making process. So I've gotten to this realization really includes a story of two worlds colliding on a rice field in central India. But let me take you the story of how I got there. I started my first business, as you can see, quite early. So I was lucky enough that with 16 we started. And it was pure fun, you know, it's like going from roadblock to roadblock, overcoming these problems, learning what you needed to learn in order to succeed. And with pure joy. We scaled the company from 3 boys on a farm to now 300 people. It was so much fun. But then, after 18 years doing that, someone asked me, hey, do you want to travel the world? Do you want to take a look at the state of the UN Sustainable Development Goals? And sure enough, I said yes. I mean, how cool can it be? You got travel, you're going to interview founders, scientists, and politicians, like all around the world. What a chance. And it was traveling to remote places and interviewing fantastic persons, like here, someone growing mini human brains in a lab where you can actually test Alzheimer's drugs, new ones. Or here, getting your hand on a moon lander. Like, how cool is that? I never thought I'm going to do that. And that's in a space agency in India. But I probably wouldn't stand here if that was everything. I've also seen the other side, not only the pinnacle of humankind, the great achievements, I've seen the other side. And I think we're all aware that this side exists. But suddenly I got into it, and like from chemicals being dumped in rivers and oceans to plastic pollutions, I guess we all have seen these pictures. And this is a big landfill. Since 30 years, mixed garbage has been piled up here, bigger and bigger and bigger. And I should learn that 3 days before I got there was a landslide, and a part of it collapsed and did bury 3 backpackers dead. And here, that's the rice field I was talking about. And on there is AJ. So I was talking to AJ, and he told me that he didn't have a yield since 3 years. The first yield he lost to a serious drought, next year to flooding, and that caused obviously serious problems to him. It seems like the whole weather patterns are mixed up and not working anymore. A seeding calendar that worked for thousands of years is not working anymore. And you could imagine him supporting his family, getting more and more in debt, that he actually saw only one option. He was willing to take his own life. I still have a hard time presenting this, because his rationale is really, I kill myself so my family gets financial support. The thing is, it's not one story. It's more the pattern, the problem really there is. Actually, the area we filmed in, 100 kilometers north of Bangalore, is called the suicide belt, because you can draw the correlation between the suicide rate of farmers and the changed weather data. In fact, every 42 minutes, a farmer is willing to take his own life. Not all of them are lucky to survive as AJ. And here it is, the two worlds colliding. Talking to AJ, he was not even aware of the word climate change, but it was so severe that he was willing to take his life. And so you can see the countries being most vulnerable to climate change are not the ones who caused it in the first place. Like, he didn't do anything wrong. Like, he didn't even know the word. It's more the countries of the global north with the historic emissions. We're all aware of this. But it's not only the historic emissions, it's ongoing, right? We know we keep on doing that because we know better, but we keep doing it. And to me, it was hard to stand the ground, hard to face the reality. But who am I talking about this, right? Because he's suffering. So coming back from that trip, from 120 days of filming, it was giving me a hard time. So I had the feeling I've seen more than the people around me, the people I'm normally talking to. But sure enough, I did know I wanted to do something at least. So I gathered a group of people, of smart people, at my kitchen table, and we thought about what we can do. And so we said, okay, why not focus on plastic? We heard this before, and that's one of the ideas. And as you might know, there was a big problem in Haiti with the earthquake, and kind of the water supply broke down. So it turns out that lots of people are giving water in kind of little sachets. So lots of waste. I thought about, hey, why don't we pick up the plastic, which is everywhere in the wild, and feed it back to Europe, to a circular system, so we can use it again. Sounds first reasonable, right? But if we really think about that, it's like, does it really make sense to transport plastic from Haiti back to Europe to make something sustainable out of it? So we got a scientist on board and did the math. Turns out if you transport a ton of plastic from Haiti on a container ship back to Europe, you do emit another 73 kilograms of CO2. Not great. But then if you look at the plastic production process of virgin plastic, it's actually quite harmful. So per ton of plastic, you emit something like 6.5 tons of CO2, like way more. But then, okay, you got the plastic here, so you need to account for the recycling process as well. So we did the math on that. Turns out, still, we save 73% of CO2 compared to virgin plastic if we recycle and pick it up. Oh, I thought, hey, this is interesting. There's actually a method to create the evidence and to decide if really something makes sense, yes or no. And I started to wonder, interesting, because the decision-making process I normally see in technologies and new ideas whenever we evaluate if we should invest in them, it's not part of it. And there it was. I finally had the idea and luckily find a group of really smart people to create an investment company. One that only invests into positive solutions, which are significantly better than today's economy. And then, if not, we just say no. And I guess, I mean, a lot of us probably have seen the talk from Simon Sinek, right? Start with why. We had that before. And I think why is such a powerful question if we really ask it deep down. Like, why do you do that? Why you invest your time into this or that? And if you apply that same thinking to investment decision, I think it's even more powerful. Why do you invest? It's not peanuts, it's real power. So I want to tell you a little bit how we implemented this in our company, and that's free, everybody can use that. That's life cycle assessment. That's what we do. So it's a holistic view on all the mass and energy balances throughout the product life cycle. And you really start in the beginning. It's like, where are the resources are coming from? How much energy do you need to extract them? Then you look at the transportation process. And then for each of the parts you're producing in a factory, you look at how much energy is involved in all the processes. And we do it for all the time, for all the tiny little pieces, and you put it together. And then the product is done, but it's not the end of the calculation. So then you look at the product, is it a single-use product, or do you use it multiple times? And you need energy each time you use it. And then you go on to the end-of-life scenario, and you also calculate that. So you have the whole mass and energy balance throughout the life cycle. And the trick is that we don't do it once, we do it twice. Once for the idea, the new technology in the company, and second for the status quo of the world. And then you can put it side by side. I can really judge if that makes sense to do, yes or no. Obviously look at the business metrics as well, but this is really what we're doing here. And so this thinking has led us to incredible companies, technologies we invested in. So for example here, we all know that we are living in this fireball, even though we don't feel it right now. But we have limitless supply of energy down there. We're just not getting there, because we can't drill so deep with our normal conventional drilling heads. And so this company invented a plasma drilling drill, which can go way deeper, so we can access geothermal heat for energy production worldwide, also here in Bonn. Here, another company. It's a plastic alternative, but a good one. We're going to hear more about it. But what's important about this plastic alternative, it has a sort of intelligence. Because plastic is great to protect stuff. But then after it has been used, it's not so great because it doesn't disappear. This material is different. Whenever it's touching water and gets in touch with microorganisms, it starts to degrade really, really quickly. And so it's really part of the solution. It's not in competition for land use, it's a byproduct of the food production. And here, we're also all aware that shipping and flying is a huge part of the problem. Container ships emit 3% of the global emissions. Aviation is set to be 2%. All right, so we invested into two companies. One has a new catalyst to produce green methanol with an alternative shipping fuel to decarbonize the whole shipping industry. So the same, we invested in a company that's doing sustainable aviation fuel. So those kind of fuels only emit the carbon they've stored in the first place, and it's more a circular fuel, not a fossil one. So how cool would it be if more people would apply that thinking when it comes to investment decisions? And I think it's really upon us as business leaders making these calls that we take informed decisions. What we see right now is that we continue to do the same. It's just business people calling the shots. And obviously, if we don't change here, then it's quite obvious that we will never get to one economy within the planetary boundaries. It would be just pure luck and it won't happen. Even worse, if we then, after we made the decision, gonna paint some pieces in light green or dark green, this won't help. I think what we really need is a different outcome, a different investment decision. And I think we do have that power. And we can take more informed decisions. So what I want you to take away from today's talk is three things. One, making an investment decision is of huge power and therefore of huge responsibility, not only for your company, your position, and your shareholders. It goes beyond that, far beyond that. Second, all the tools and methods are there. It's a matter of applying them and changing the process. And third, it's giving the scientists the power to have a say in the investment decision process at the right time, where business and science must come together to alternate the decision-making process we had so far. So, let me leave on that note. I think we should do that today, because tomorrow's economy is based on today's investment decisions. Thank you.